Okay. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. My name is Madison Ward. I'm the director of marketing for Concepts. Pretty much all you know who I am, but I've been here for almost 7 years, and so I live and breathe the Remax brand and have for nearly a decade, which is kind of wild. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about branding as a whole as well. And I really prefer my classes to be kind of chatty as far as you and me chatty. So, yell at me, holler, ask questions, offer opinions. It'll be more fun for all of us, I promise. Okay. So to start off, we're going to talk about why branding is important. Okay. I would hope as business owners that you all are, we all understand that having a brand is a commodity. It's very, very important to your business. Okay, we all understand that, right? The reason is because a brand tells a consumer who you are, what your values are, what their experience is going to be before they even set foot in the store, right? Except for you guys, there is no store, right? There's no storefront. People can walk into and experience your brand like somebody could with Apple or some other people we're going to talk about. So having a brand that is established and consistent is possibly even more important for you guys because you don't have as many opportunities to be in front of people like you would be in a brick and mortar kind of situation. Okay. But yeah, so brand is your identity. It is what communicates to a consumer. It's very, very important. And your own personal brand is very important, yes. However, today we're going to talk about specifically the Remax brand, which is a massive, massive deal. It's one of the most iconic logos in the world. It's very recognizable. I can't with these shoes. We're doing it. For it. Yes, we're friends, right? Cool. So all of the things we're going to talk about today are in keeping with upholding the Remax brand. My shirt is very aggressive and I can get very sassy about it, but you guys are part of the Remax brand and that's kind of a big deal, right? And even though you're encouraged to build your own brand and have your own identity within the Remax network, having the knowledge to uphold the brand is a very powerful thing. So we're going to talk about that today. Before that though, I kind of want to step out of Remax for a sec because I think being within Remax as an agent, you have a different perspective of what a brand is because you're in it, you're too close to it, right? So I want to talk about Apple for a minute because none of us work there, right? Cool. Okay. So the Apple brand is very iconic. Oh, well, this is Apple. We all know this, right? Okay. I want to talk about what you, as a consumer, what are your expectations of this as a brand? Someone yell at me. High quality, user friendly.
Expensive.
Yes. Yes. And yet people buy them. There's yes. All of that information. Is everybody in here Apple people? For the most part, yeah? No? Okay. You thought is? No? Why? Because you're a dinosaur. Okay, well that's a different reason. Shame to be here to give us a whole litany of reasons, but so Apple as a brand is very recognizable, right? And we talked about user-friendly, yes, expensive, but user-friendly, tech-forward, all of that feeling, and let's be honest, what's the word could be very expensive? High quality. Those are emulated in their brand beyond the logo. If you walk into the Apple store, it's nice in there, right? It's very clean, it's very modern, it's very nice. And all of their marketing materials, what I missed it.
Very demure.
Very demure, yes, that's right. That's right. We love an on-brand queen. Their brand is very sleek across all of their marketing materials. It's very consistent. And all of that rolled together is what helps perpetuate their brand identity. Okay? Who is this? No, there are no words on this, and you all know that. That in and of itself is an impressive thing, right? Now, when you think about Nike, What comes to mind?
Just do it.
Hey, that's good. Just do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anything else? Athletic wear, yes. What's like the vibe?
Sports.
Like running.
Yeah. The word for me is like agile that comes to mind. And that's one of the things in their logo in particular. I think they did a really good job emulating that because it is essentially just like but it's a movement that they've captured in this. And they take that and it runs through all of their marketing in their stores, in their commercials, in their print. It's all very consistent. And even if you're not a Nike consumer, you can understand that's what they're about, right? What's Starbucks? What's the vibe?
Expensive.
Oh, it is that time of the year.
It is. See, there's another one.
Beans.
Yes, very. I did a little research on Starbucks just to kind of see what their like official brand identity is. Consistent was actually one of their, or efficient and consistent are two of their main things. And I think that's what when people think of Starbucks, they do. It's like, oh, it's that time of year. It's the red cups or whatever the heck they're doing. Their consistency is what has made them quite well known, right? And if you compare them to like Dunkin' Donuts or whatever, the high quality is definitely part of the vibe. And if you look at all of their branding, their marketing, their commercials, their storefronts, I think that's very consistent in how they present themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And from a consumer, that's all very important. And I wanted to talk about just a couple. Obviously, there's hundreds of companies that have, specific branding vibes. But we get all that information, even if you're not a consistent consumer of these companies, you all know this stuff, right? And that is an important thing to remember when you're thinking about Remax because it's in the same category, right? Having Remax is so well known, its marketing is so consistent, and it's that way for a reason. Okay, so the consumers understand what to expect. They understand what the company is, what it stands for, and what they can experience if they were to work with a Remax agent. Okay, so when we talk about all the stuff I'm going to talk about, it might seem really silly, and it might seem like a minute little tiny detail that doesn't really matter. But all of that rolled together is what helps the Remax brand be what it is. Okay, I need a tissue. And that's my brand. I should have invested in Kleenex when I was a child. Okay. What is this? Hey. Now, what are your expectations of Remax as a brand? Don't think about individual agents. Like, what are your expectations of the company as a brand? Global. Trusted, for sure. Experience. Yes, 100%. That and a whole slew of other crap is all what makes Remax Remax. And it's what all the stuff we're going to talk about and why it's so important. Okay? It's all connected. All right? And you guys have such a unique opportunity because you work for Remax. So you have access to all of the stuff that is so well known that people just drive past and they know what it is. And that is a very unique opportunity. Yes, you're encouraged to build your own brands. And in fact, it's one of the only real estate companies you're encouraged to do that at. But you also have access to all this stuff that does support and help you grow your business. Okay? So, before we start, I want to talk about this very little specific detail that is specific to Remax. And as agents, this is kind of important. So, for branding, we have compliance and we have trademark infringement. They're very similar, but in this case, it makes a big difference, okay? For you guys, if you don't listen to this stuff that I'm about to talk to you about, that is considered non-compliance. It's typically by accident. Nobody joins Remax with the sole purpose of trying to torpedo the brand, okay? So I'm not gonna be up here like doom and gloom with you, all right? I will probably poke fun at some things because there's some stuff that I think is like so wild that it happens, but so you're not gonna like go to brand jail. However, there's also trademark infringement, and I think it's important to mention. Remax is a trademark brand. So if you do something to the logo, to any of the stuff we're going to talk about, for you guys, it's just non-compliance. However, trademark infringement is a real thing, and you can like be sued for it. So none of the stuff that I'm going to talk about is like you're going to, you know, I just wanted to point out the difference because it is real. And people, there are consequences following the brand guidelines, okay? But for you guys, it's just non-compliance. Okay. I'm curious, is everybody in here, I know there's a group that have been with other companies, but has anybody been with Remax like from the beginning of their real estate life? Everybody else has gone around? You did here from the beginning. Now I'm going to talk about a brief history of Remax. Those that have been here, I kind of hope maybe you know some of this stuff. If not, today's your lucky day. So Remax was founded by these two fine folks, David and Gail Lineberg in Denver, Colorado. That was in 1973, so it's been around for a minute. It predates me by quite a lot. Remax is based from the phrase real estate maximums, which is essentially their goal was to have agents retain more of their commissions, because these guys, or Dave specifically, worked at a different company that they did the more traditional split. You paid in more, and he was like, "This ain't it. I want to be somewhere where we keep more of our commissions," right? So that's where Remax came from. It expanded to Kansas City in 1975, so it didn't take a whole lot before it started to kind of gain some traction. And then in 1978 was when it finally went global. I think, I want to say, it could be Canada was definitely one of the first other countries to adopt Remax. And then by 1987, it was the #1 in the United States for a real estate company. It was the first company to ever hit 1 million transactions, which is when they adopted the phrase "nobody in the world sells more real estate than Remax," that it's an actual fact. And I have charts and things if you ever want to see them. And now here we are today. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the middle there, but it grew very quickly. It's been very successful because it's based on the idea that agents should keep what they earn, but you know, more of what they earn. I also want to talk about the Remax structure because this is something I don't think a lot of people understand, especially if you haven't been with Remax from the get-go. So Remax is a corporation. Its headquarters is in Denver, Colorado, still there. And there are two different offshoots of corporate, okay? So we have regions that are owned by corporate. It's direct. There is nobody else in play. It's corporate. It's the other region. For example, so like our Illinois office and our Florida office. Yes, send them good vibes. That sounds going to be brutal, but they are owned by corporate, not by an independent region. Us here, we are owned by a private region called Remax Central. That's this guy right here in the middle. And then below that, we have franchises. Okay, so here in the Metro concepts, you're right, the best one, obviously. But there are other ones. We have Precision, Revolution. What's the one from Ames?
Hilltop.
Thank you, Real Estate Center, Hilltop. There are several. Okay, that's how it works. These guys bought into the region as franchisees. All right, and then below that we have office locations. So for us, Windsor Heights, Grand, Newton, Ames, Nevada, Huxley, I mean, all over the place. I believe our number is 24. 20.
Don't look at me, I never know.
Sorry. Here in this region, I want to say our number is 20. Yeah, 20 offices, not counting the other states. Okay. So that is how the structure is set up. I remind you of this because anything I'm about to tell you, I did not make these rules. I just play by them. And concepts did not make these rules. Corporate did. So the guys in Colorado are the ones that have made all of this. I literally have a Remax Bible book. If you ever want to look at it, it's quite interesting. But it breaks down every single thing we're going to talk about today. And they're the ones that have decided what is and is not compliant. So if I'm ever hard on you about that, it's because I care and I don't want you to get in trouble. All right? So we all play by the rules around here. Okay. Remax balloon. We know her, we love her. She is very iconic. There hasn't been a ton of change over the years. Okay. The initial balloon was that sad little tilted fella over 1978. And then it changed in 2005. That is a giant gap for a logo to stay the same. That doesn't happen that often. Starbucks changes their logo like every 3 years, I swear. And then it changed again in 2017, which was actually the year that I started. So this logo change happened just before I joined. I never had the privilege of dealing with that situation in the middle, which I'm very much okay with because I do not care for that version at all. And then actually last year, they did not replace this logo, but they did roll out a new iteration that's like the pin emblem. You've probably seen it on some stuff, but it looks like a photograph of a pin, like that you would wear. But it's like the same design, it's just different. Yeah. But yes, so this was actually founded back in the 70s, like I said. And originally, the balloon wasn't part of the conversation. The balloon came into play because the region owner got an opportunity to be on a hot air balloon in Arizona, New Mexico. New Mexico. Oh, thank you. And so they put the logo on the balloon, and it went over so well that they added it to the official company logo. You ever wonder where the balloon came from? An accident, basically. Okay. So the Remax logo. We're going to talk about it. There has been almost no change. One change ever in the existence of Remax. This is the typed logo, the typography logo. The balloon is their emblem logo, if we're getting technical. But I want to point this out because just today, up in the kitchen of this building, I saw some business cards that had this on it. Guys, this is wrong. It might say Remax, but anything this is on is not compliant. They let it slide for about 2 years, but in 2019, they said anything with this on it, it don't matter. It's not compliant. Okay? It has to be this. And again, if it isn't, the consequence that you might be wondering, the consequence if you do get in trouble, again, it does not come from me. I am not sitting around being the sign police, although I do enjoy driving around and pointing out ones that are not compliant. That's a fun little game in it, right? But the fine would come from corporate, or the punishment would come from LLC, and typically it's you would have to pay to replace whatever it is that they have been informed of. And what happens is somebody has driven around or come across, and they're like, you know what? How much I'm in? And they do. And it happens. So just be forewarned. Okay. This is another really, really fun one. There is correct ways and incorrect ways to use the Remax logo. Did you know that? Fun fact. You've probably seen all the versions of this, right? These logo versions are the only correct versions of this logo. Someone could not take this and turn it pink. That would be considered non-compliant. Okay? If you do not have these logos, they are all in your Google Drive. You can email me and I will give them to you. All right? With any other version, particularly they are very strict with the balloon because this is like their baby. There is no other version. There's no grayscale version. It is color, it is black, it is white. That is it. All right? This one is always really fun. I think people get a little bit confused by it or surprised by it. This is our list of things you cannot do to any of these logos. All right? Remax, the logo, it's different if you're typing it out, like you in a sentence. But you cannot try and make a logo that is Remax with a different font. That is considered non-compliant. Okay? If you take the logo and you squash it, even to make it fit, that's not compliant. It's got to stay the way that it is. Same with making it like flat. You can't outline it. Not that. You can't add a drop shadow to it. It's kind of hard to see, but there's like a little shadow underneath of it. Can't do that to it. Can't change the colors. Like I said, it is what it is. Even if you were to take this and like make it, or like invert the red and blue and make the letters blue and this red, still wrong. All right. Woo-hoo. See, I knew this was gonna happen. For the balloon, this one even threw me a little bit. You're technically not allowed to tilt the balloon. Technically. Again, is someone going to like stalk your stuff and turn you in for that? Probably not. But I think it's just good information to have. You cannot add text to the balloons. If you think you're being fancy and you want to add concepts to this balloon, can't. Can't distort or scare. We talked about that with this one, same deal. This one, you're not allowed to place the colored balloon on a busy background. This one I think is a little ambiguous because like what constitutes a busy background, I think is a little subjective, but it's on their list. You cannot crop or remove any portion of the balloon, and you cannot change the colors. And this is a literal screenshot from the Remax Bible. So again, I don't make the rules. I just have to play by them. This one is also really fun. This one makes me want to scream a little because I see it every single day by people that are in this room. And upstairs, and in every office, in DMAR, I see it everywhere. Okay. Remax can only ever be spelled capital RE / capital MAX. That's it. Any of this business is wrong. Okay? So like lowercase with a slash, wrong. Capital Remax, no slash, wrong. Yeah, capital RE with capital R, lowercase e slash, capital M, wrong. I see it every single day. And it gives me the ick. It drives me nuts. I even had to have a chat with DMAR at the DMAR milk fountain. It's like putting a sign on a cart for Remax concepts. And it was wrong. And I'm like, you guys, no. The last one is confusing. If the slash is the wrong way. Yeah. I was hoping I'd get somebody with that one.
Why turn off REMAX?
So it's real estate maximums is what it stands for. And they turn it into a logo. So any alterations, any kind, are that is it's the equivalent of taking a McDonald's pen and making it purple or making it a different font or something. That's what it is. And I point this out because I think especially being in it, I work for Remax. I own this. I can do what I want with it. Right? I think that's people feel like that. It's important to take a step back because we don't own it. It's trademarked. And there is I can stand in the dark out here.
Good lighting.
Good lighting. But yes, so anything but that is wrong. I know who's in this class. So if I see you do it, I will come chat with you. Be nice about it, but I will give you grief about it, that's for sure. Okay, within the Remax logo and brand, we have two different palettes. We have the brand, the fonts, and the colors. This is a little minute crap that you're probably like, this don't matter. I promise you it does. It is all part of the in-keeping upholding the brand. So the font family, we have three different options for you. The primary typeface is called Gotham. It is not one that you can just go find in Word. We do have the files if you want to add it to your Canva. It's all in Google Drive, so you can just upload it all on your own. And there's like bold version, metallic version, like all of that stuff within the Gotham family. They also have a digital version because like I said, Word doesn't have Gotham. Like who uses Word? Google Docs doesn't have Gotham either. So the closest equivalent is Arial. And then the web typeface, like on a website design platform, the closest alternative is Montserrat. Again, is anybody returning for this? Probably not, but now you know, okay? And then within the Remax brand, you also have the color palette. We have the primary and the secondary palette. Newsflash, you can't just pick a red and a blue and call it a day. They have hand-selected very specific colors. These ones, to be exact. These are specific shades of red and blue in various tones and shades that make up the Remax color palette. If you want it, I do have, like, I had it typed out, so if you want to, I can give it to you. Like in your Canva, you can add this color palette. Like they have the specific hex codes and all that jazz. They have names, like they've registered these colors because they are also trademarked. The whole thing, okay? So yeah, fun fact, anything that's not these colors, technically non-compliant. So if you are like driving around and you see a sign, a listing sign, you're like, something is wonky about that, I would not be the least bit shocked to find out somebody just picked a red and blue and called it a day. I see. Pretty. Questions on the brand colors and things? Okay, now we're going to talk about size because this is where people have the most trouble 100% of the time. We're going to start with individuals and talk about teams because they do have different rules. All right. A listing sign with, I'll show you the new versions, but the classic listing sign looks exactly like this. We have the red bar on top, which is the listing information. So real for sale, house, whatever. The middle bar is where your information would go, or your team information would go. The blue bar at the bottom is brokerage information. Now you'll notice there's also a phone number on here. This bar, corporate did give individual brokerages some control over because some brokerages do require the phone number for the office to be on your sign. Concepts does not do that. We don't want your clients' phone calls. That's too much. In fact, Cedar Valley, the offices we bought up there, that used to be their requirement. And when we came in, they were all like, "Are you sure we don't have to have it?" Promise, guys, you don't want your phone calls. So it is completely your contact info. But any listing sign, with the exception to the new designs I'm going to show you, if they don't look like this, it's wrong. And signs are the number one thing that gets turned in. Number one, hands down. Okay? So signs are a protected trademark of Remax LLC. That means trademark infringement is at play. You guys are agents, so it would be considered non-compliance by trademark infringement, so you are protected from being sued. However, nobody wants to pay to have new signs made. Like, that is not a cheap thing to have to replace. The balloon is required on all listing signs. End of sentence. There is no exception. Okay. Photo and logo is permissible on signs. That's a newer development. However, team or individual logos are the only thing that's you can use. Individual agents that are not teams. Technically, you're not supposed to put your logo on signs. And I actually learned this. They changed it so that if, for whatever reason, you've got a commercial property, you don't want to put a commercial sign in front of it, you can use this sign if you, I don't know why you want to, but you could. So then we have our two classic versions. I'm sure you've seen it all over the place. 24 by 30, 30 by 18, 32 by 30, whatever. I'm familiar with this, not come on anything new. This is the OG sign layout. And recently I've even seen some of the old sign layouts, so much like how the old logo is no longer compliant, old sign layouts are also not compliant. So I know in our little storage room up here, there are a couple from real estate group that are still the old signs. I've seen those out in the world as recently as this year. Those are also not compliant. Okay, I would like to chat about this. Someone tell me what's wrong with this. What? There we are. Yep. So even though it has everything that you are technically supposed to have, it is still considered non-compliant. It's just not as pretty. Like, that's subjective if you want to get into if you like the design or not. But I think the new one is much more modern and sleek and nice looking. This one, there's a lot happening. Oh, yes, A+. What's wrong with this one? Yes. Anybody?
Personal brand.
There's personal brand on it, yeah. And it is not a theme. What?
We can have our personal brand, right?
As of now. Not technically, unless it's a team, no, you can have your headshot on it. There's little very glaring things on there. The font, A+. That font she just added for giggles. Number one, who's gonna read that when you're driving past? Just like from a logistical. You can't read it anyway. That's exactly right. Number two, it is in no way related to the Remax brand at all. There's one other thing that is a little bit harder to notice. Brokerage. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that one is technically wrong. It's hard to say because it doesn't actually, it just says brokerage. Like if they were to just put it across, I don't know. Because technically it needs to just be fully across. I don't know if they did this just for demonstration purposes. One, what? No?
No, I was just saying, there's a lot of people on.
Oh no, lots of them. I would say most are not.
Yeah.
These people don't know. And also I think, like I said, it's kind of confusing because you are encouraged to have your own brand, and that's 100% still true.
Yes.
There's just some stuff we have to like keep in mind, you know? And teams we'll talk about because you guys have a little bit of a different situation happening. But the one that I noticed is this right here. It is the right spot and it says the right thing. It's the wrong font that's too big. And you might say to yourself, why the heck does that matter? Well, because it does. So this is a screenshot from my Remax Bible that literally tells you what size everything should be. Okay, so this for sale up here, it should be gloss black, 165 point font, all caps, white type, with 109 tracking, aka how far apart the letters are spaced. Holy buckets.
I'm assuming if we have foam to our signs, we are
Compliant, yes.
we don't have to worry about the.
No, if somebody comes to me to order signs and it's not compliant, I will have that chat up front because it's not my responsibility. And I'm not going to tell you can't, but I will tell you, you run the risk of repercussions if you move forward with this. If you come to me and say, hey, I need a vertical sign with my information on it, your proof will always be this. Always. Okay. Yeah, this is some of that little minute stuff that I was talking about that might seem inconsequential. But the reason they do this is because if they just put a picture of this out and said, okay, people, make sign templates like this, the reality is that they would all end up looking inconsistent. Even if they all have the red, white, and blue in the middle, it's all going to be different sizes. These are going to be set up a little bit differently. And when you line them all up in a row, it's like, what is this, right? It does not uphold that brand. Even though the signs seem funny, this is what we go with. So it's what I go by. This is what Paul Drake, who does our signs, I had him follow these instructions and make templates to a T because I want whatever I give to you guys to be 100% compliant unless we have a different discussion. Okay?
If you said if we're going to be able to get these supplies.
Yes. Yep. And I also have the Remax Bible is a Google Drive too, the most recent version, should someone want to have a little casual read. It's like 150 pages. give or take. Okay, so sign variations. This is where things start to get a little confusing because those first two options are the original. However, there are different iterations that are also okay. Okay. So this here is having a photo on it. This one confuses me a little, and I'm waiting to hear back from the compliance department at corporate, which, excuse me, there is actually an email if you're ever like, hey, what is happening? Excuse me. If you ever want to email them and ask if something is compliant, they will look at it. Of course, you're welcome to email me. But if you really want to go right to the top, you can. But I did email them asking this because their new versions allow individual headshots down here. But their examples in the book, like the visuals, don't show that, but it's typed out saying that it's okay. So I want to clarify. This version, they have the headshot here for vertical. For horizontal, you can put it on the main sign because it is a smaller situation, so they treat them differently. I don't really know why, but so that's one variation. This is also showing where to put the team name. So if you're an H&R team, you type in the team name over here. And we'll show versions of where you can put logos too. Now these are new designs as of last year. They came out with these announcements at R4. They are completely new designs. You might laugh and say, those look kind of similar. Yes, they do. However, the colors are from the secondary palette I showed you. And then this out here, whole new ballgame. Okay. This is definitely more agent-centric because the balloon now is over here. The balloon is sharing spotlight with the headshot. That is a new development. And these are 100% compliant. They're new and different. I think there are pros and cons to going this route because yes, it is. If you're not quite as like red blue yet, like these ones are darker, so that might be your vibe more. However, they're not as identifiable yet. Yes.
Do they all require the dot instead of a dash for the phone number?
They do. Good catch. Yeah, that's actually is written out in the instructions. Yeah. Yep.
And which version has the largest phone number so people can actually see it from the road?
They technically have it written out what size the phone number needs to be. It should be is 165 point font. So whether or not people can see it, I suppose is the individual's problem. Yes,
So
sir.
that's the vertical sign now.
For the vertical, it is different for the horizontal. Yes, I didn't do a screenshot of that one, but it's in the Remax Bible should you want to look at it.
Because some of those, the phone number looks really, really small.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, sir.
What's the story behind the dots?
From what I gather, it's so that when you're driving, it takes up less, it's littler. I don't know. Like that's there really to give a super great reason, but it just is less. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so these signs are completely within compliance and they're new and fancy. They also have some variations. So again, adding your headshot, you can do it without a background, with the background. They also allow QR codes on the sign, not just on a rider. And then they have some new rider variations as well, where you can put team photos on them. That's amazing. Actual team. Oh, of course, if you've got like a 20% team, that might not be that effective, but if you want to, knock yourself out. And there's even more variations than that. These are the darker version. So we've got the vertical with the QR code. We have the headshot with the background, horizontal with the QR code. And then we have, this is brand new, having an individual headshot with a team photo writer. That is a whole new concept. Again, it may not be your cup of tea, but it is available. And with that, they also came out with some new directionals. We had more shapes, and they're within the same color family of those darker signs. There was, I'm going to talk about these. Okay, so they are allowing the unique shapes, so these guys here. However, with the exception to this one here, unique shaped ones don't need the red, white, and blue. They can be the solid colors. However, they do want to maintain the red or the white and the blue, with the exception to the new darker version. I don't really know why they just decided to come out with these new versions. I think they kind of heard people were getting a little, and by people I mean agents, wanted some more choices. So these are all available for you to pick from. Another one. What is wrong here? What a 10 on me.
Red supposed to be on top.
That's correct.
Dashes instead of dots.
Dashes instead of dots. Absolutely. The other one that's a little bit, there's one, but it's not going to be so obvious. So that is like their equivalent of concepts. I just found this on the internet. I don't know who these people are. I was so tempted to put them from the Metro on there, but I thought that would probably be kind of fun. So I didn't do that. But one thing is what it's for should be up here and the brokerage should be down here. So I swapped that. And the middle should be white. So the average person driving by them may see the white blue and that might be enough, but technically it is wrong. Any questions on signs? Okay. So, huh?
He wants to work.
I got you. Get easy. Okay, so now teams. This is a whole other situation. I know several of you in here are either leading and or on a team. So this is the definition, according to Remax, of a team. You may read it if you want. But essentially, team for marketing purposes is different than the definition they use for awards. And if you're on a team, you understand the awards thing is a thing. All right. But for marketing purposes, you can market as a team, even if you are not, like, there's no deal, commission, dealing happening. You can market as being a team, even though nobody works for the other. You're just doing stuff together. That sounds so bad. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Teams include associates working for the same Remax office to present themselves as a team, even if neither of them is an employee of the other. The bonus or commission income is shared. This is a fun one that I see a lot. An individual associate cannot market themselves as a team. They cannot say, I'm the Ward real estate team when it's just me. That is technically considered deceiving the public. Okay? So if it's just a single individual, I cannot put on my marketing that I'm the Ward real estate team. That's technically deceiving.
So that's interesting. What defines a vice? You have right now, one on the top of my head. There's no agents underneath that person. Nope. But there's an assistant.
It depends on if they're licensed or not. And there is some gray area, but as far as like the line they draw is if they're licensed or not with the company.
So as long as it's a license.
With the company, yes. They cannot be, if that person is sharing an assistant with a different Remax, technically you cannot call yourself a team at that point because it has to be solely within the same company. If two people that work for like agent A and agent B both work for Concepts and they share a licensed assistant, they can do that. But if agent A has an assistant that's over at a different brokerage and somebody else is at Concepts, you can call mingle and call it a team. You feel me? Questions on that?
Should we jump in with the state
Please.
of Iowa rule? So last July, it went into effect that the real estate commission defined what a team is according to the state of Iowa. And what the state of Iowa says, it's two or more licensees working together, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so what it comes down to as far as your state licensing goes is we don't have any administrative rules yet that say if you're one person advertising as a team, or maybe you were, a partnership and now the partnership went away, does one still get to advertise as a team or not? we don't have administrative rules. Those are different than what the RE/MAX rules are.
To that end, though, RE/MAX in those cases defer to the state. Okay, so obviously, what the government tells you can and cannot do, you need to take into account when you're doing all of this stuff. Is anybody online with Illinois?
That's on both sides of the state.
Okay. Because there are some stuff that, like, Illinois is a different region, so there's different rules. It's like a whole thing. And plus, their state is a different state. So they have different rules. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about all that stuff. And if you ever have questions, holler at us.
Yeah, I guess I just have a quick question.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Is that a little loud?
I didn't expect it.
Okay.
What's up?
Okay, so if Sarah's on my team as a marketing coordinator and Kim is the transaction coordinator, and say like it was just down to me as the only team member. So as far as RE/MAX goes, it's two licensed like realtors as a team.
Yes. Like you have to have a real estate license.
Okay, so you can't still say you're a team, but according to Iowa, there's no laws against it though.
There's no administrative rules yet, but the law says 2 or more licensees working together.
Oh, the law. Okay. So the law, not RE/MAX isn't just necessarily saying that, but the law does say, okay.
And I need to ask them, I had this question came up to myself. Like if somebody's a team, they have some agents, those team agents leave and they're just left by themselves. What that leaves them as, in the state's eyes, we have the answer. RE/MAX eyes, they did not define that very well, so I'm waiting to hear back on that because technically it wasn't their choosing that the agents left to change their team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but yes, that's, Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Mostly?
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Okay, so having a team obviously comes with selecting a team name. Michelle talks about this in law. She deals with this all the time. And I'm sure that you can think of just a whole plethora of people that don't follow this. But these are the things that RE/MAX says you have to consider when you're making a team name. Number one, you cannot make a team name that sounds like brokerage. You may think to yourself, well, it's not. I know it's not. Yes, but Joe Smith walking down the street will not know the difference. Okay? So that means you cannot say that I am Ward Realty. Joe Smith will think that is a company independent of any other brokerage, and that's it. You cannot do that. So to fix that, you want to have team or real estate team attached to your name. Okay? Like team, real estate team. Not realty, not partners, not group, not properties, associates. All of that is construed as a brokerage to Joe Smith on the street. Okay? You don't want to infringe on RE/MAX trademarks, i.e., you don't want to call yourself /results, like results, because that's too close to like RE/MAX. It's part of the slash is trademarked. I don't think I talked about that. The slash is trademarked also. So you want to just avoid anything that could be construed as a RE/MAX entity. Okay? You want to include your brokerage on everything you do. Preferably the logo typed out when you can't use the logo, but just have it on everything with your team name. That right there eliminates any confusion for the most part. Yes.
And the state requires that your brokerage is immediately preceding or following your name or team name on any advertising going out to the public.
Yes. And in Iowa, there isn't, I believe, rule yet about how large the two need to be within relation to each other.
Yeah, it just says, I forget what it says.
It can't be like,
It has to be
be legible.
like no discernible. I'll have to look for the word, but it has to be big enough so you can see it.
Yes, it can't be so itty bitty tiny.
Easily ascertainable, I think, is what they use.
There we are. That's a good word. I should say. That's a good word, isn't it, really? But yeah, you need to be able to read it in association to your logo. Alright. And then last one, you just want to avoid confusion. If you ask somebody in the world that doesn't know real estate, what does this sound like? And if they say, I think it might be a company, here's your answer right there. Because I think when you're in it, like we are, it's very easy to just kind of like slice and dice the reason. Yeah, like if it could be construed as a company, it's a no-go. Okay. And I also want to mention that Remax LLC reserves the right to prohibit the use of and require removal of any team name or logo on Remax sign, sign writer, or other marketing promotional materials. All right. So if they decide something is really sideways, they can tell you to pull it, and that would be a rather expensive tick, right? Because then at the end of the day, you work for Remax, and we have to play by their rules. All right. Team signs. So there are lots of ways to incorporate the team name, team logo on signs. They do prefer a team logo to be one color. However, they have loosened the reins on that a little bit, and they allow full color. It just depends on where you put it. Okay. You put it on a writer. You can put it next to. You can have this one cracks me up. I'm like, what logo is sitting right here? Well, you can if you really are feeling. And then over at the bottom left for you guys is another logo under the blue. So there's lots of places to put it. Not trying to hide it. You just have to understand where it can go. Same thing for the different variations of the signs and the new versions. So we have the introduction of team photos. That's new and exciting. You can also have the logo on the writer. Team name typed out if you want to. You do have to have your team on there somewhere, so an agent on your team cannot go get a sign and have it just look like they're flying solo. That is extremely non-compliant and kind of deceiving. You have to be on there somewhere, whether it's your logo or having it typed out or your team photo or something. It has to be on there.
Can the team members have their own logo within the team?
Technically, no. Technically, no. Because that is considered deceiving as well. And frankly, that has always confused me because it's like, so you're going to have your brokerage logo, your team logo, and you're going to have your own logo as well. Where do you have room for stuff besides logos? You know what I mean? Yeah, technically, according to Remax, no. According to Remax. Okay. Any questions on that? Dig. All right, marketing requirements. This is probably what I deal with the most frequently, like in my day-to-day, if you will. So this is marketing requirements on everything else. We're not talking about signs. We're talking about business cards and postcards and banners and bus benches and all that sort of stuff. Okay. So your marketing must-haves. Oh, that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. You have to have your brokerage. We know this. All right. You need to have it in completion. You cannot just say Remax. Because again, there's like 6 different Remaxes just in Central Iowa. You have to say Remax concepts. We want to adhere to state and national requirements, obviously, right? And it's not technically required, the equal housing logo. Well, that's just good practice. Like, you're not legally obligated. Like, why would you want to not put that on there? Because especially if it was to ever come into question, you could say, but actually I have it on all my stuff. So like, leave me alone kind of thing. Remax requirements, you have to have those, we'll talk about them. You have your office address, where you hang your license. So if you hang your license at Graham, but you're always here, doesn't matter. Wherever you hang your license is your address. Okay? And then your contact information, because obviously how else is anybody going to get a hold of you? Okay? There are some exceptions to these rules. 2 main ones. Number 1, if you are making a marketing material that is so itty bitty tiny, i.e. a keychain, a pen, a pin, a pop socket, and you only have so much room, you do not have to have Each office is independently owned and operated by either RE/MAX requirement. You can omit that. And you can omit the office address. But you need to try as best you can to have everything else at the bare minimum, your name and your brokerage. Bare minimum. Okay. The other one is, this one surprises me, but on billboards, bus benches, large, gigantic things where your area where you can put stuff may not be endless, like you have a very finite amount of room on a billboard to put stuff. You don't have to put that on the independently owned and operated on that either. I think it's just good practice. Cause like you've got enough room. That one I don't know why they haven't, but I say put it on there. Personally. Okay. An example. Our fine friends that just from Coldwell. I stole their business cards to use as an example. So we can look at all of the things. I can draw it. So we have our agent names, swell, office address right there, contact info, website, phone number, email. We've got our state requirements, license in the state of Iowa. We have our team logo because they are a team. We're not hiding that. We have our brokerage name right there, and they actually had it twice, bless them. We made this card, but still, they let me put it on there. And then we have our RE/MAX requirements. That is that each office is independently owned and operated. Do we know why that's a requirement? For your franchisees, yes. And RE/MAX Precision and RE/MAX Concepts are different. And then we have our national markings, national requirements. Realtor logo. You're a realtor. Not everybody that sells a house is a realtor. So you should put it on your stuff because that's like a big deal. And then equal housing, again, not required, but like put it on your stuff. It's tiny, it takes up real little space. All of that hits all the things. You are not required to put a balloon on your stuff. The only place a balloon is required is for signs. You are not required to have a headshot. But also, why wouldn't you? That one kind of confuses me if I'm honest. Personal preference. Okay, this is the new addition they've added because AI is everywhere. AI, they take AI seriously at RE/MAX. You cannot use a RE/MAX image, logo, anything that's trademarked in the process of generating an AI photo. Does that make sense? It's like you cannot plug a picture of a house with a RE/MAX sign in it into AI and say make something else. However, you can do, which is what I did. I told AI to make me a house on the moon. I don't know. And then you can add stuff to it afterward. Okay? You can add your balloon, you can add your sign, whatever. You just cannot incorporate it in the process of making a new image. That is considered trademark infringement according to their rules. Okay? Questions, comments, and/or concerns? Now we can chat about stuff. So that's a whole lot of info. Does anybody have questions for me on anything at all regarding the RE/MAX brand?
Paul has all the templates already.
Yep.
Hidden templates too.
Yep, I had him do those the day they came out, actually. He was kind of annoyed me, but I didn't really care. I was like, we have to have these. And if there's ever anything that you're like, hey, I'm not sure about this, just ask. Like, it's so much easier on the front end to adjust something than have some petty person with no business turn you into a brand. Yes.
So what about social media posts that was just
That's
like,
not good
we're gonna
one.
take a picture of a house? And I know that it needs to be our own picture that has rights to be and then does it need it, our logo and the disclaimer at the bottom?
On the image, so that actually leans more into state stuff than RE/MAX specifically. On social media, you have to do all the things we talked about. Disclose your brokerage, your name, contact information, all that stuff. Well, so the old rule used to be that all that information had to be one click away. Something change, can you like specifically speak to that a little more detail? Because
Well, as far as the clips, I still haven't heard anything more than one click, but you have to get attribution. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah.
If it's somebody else's listing, it requires attribution. You've got to have the broker and contact info of the listing. But anytime you're looking at, you're sharing a listing, you should share the link that takes them to your website, because your website has all the things. But if you're taking it and you're just taking a picture and then putting it on your personal page and it doesn't take them back to that, now you're not compliant.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the picture itself, if it's the picture, we say new listing to the top. Does it have to have the logo and display?
On the picture, not as long as it's in your account, like your public facing, people can see it. The difference is if you're doing it on a personal page, where more than likely you don't got none of that, then that's a problem. Which again leads us back to people who are like, well, I don't want a business page. Well, then you're gonna have to put all that stuff on every single thing you ever post, and like that's annoying.
So basically every posting, as long as you have that information, the brokerage, the contact information, whatnot, it will actually, what do you call it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not on the actual image,
Your
but
bio,
on
yeah, that
your
works.
actual post.
Yeah.
You're gonna be fine in the captions, right? I mean,
Yeah,
not
there,
everybody's gonna be able to put all this information on a photo that they're just posting.
no, there were like rumblings there for a minute that may not be sufficient, but there hasn't been anything that's actually come of it, which is good, because like, what a pain.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. I mean,
Some people do it. Like if somebody posts a really long caption, if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see like they typed out their name and their brokerage and everything, which is fine. You can do that too. But as of the moment, as long as you've got it in your bio, in your about information on Facebook, in your cover photo is a great place to put it because it's the first thing they see. If you put a link to your website, because as Michelle said, it's got everything in it already, you'll be okay.
So for example, on our Instagram, we have a link tree that will take you to all of our website, to the things that will go into the MLS or to an actual. I actually took the links from our MLS
So
app. The app.
technically, that's not one link away. Technically,
That's
they
two
have
clicks.
that's two.
Mhm.
Technically,
So, but what if we have a listing and we just put it in the captions, then
that's one.
it's there.
Mhm.
We do that.
And you can do links to Instagram now, which is exciting because that one used to cause problems.
Oh, they do.
It's an update. I don't know that everybody has access to it yet, but
Must not have.
yeah, that's new and exciting.
So on your cover letter, what did you say that it's good to have on your Facebook account, your cover letter, or the cover profile picture?
Say that again, on your Facebook account with
You
the cover
mentioned
photo?
something about the cover.
Oh, the cover photo, yeah. 'Cause, like, on your cover
What
photo-
information should be on.
Yeah, because like then, even if they don't go to anywhere like besides just scrolling on your page, that stays up at the top. So like even if they don't go to the page, like in detail, that's everything. It's all right there.
The
It's-
disclaimer or what? What should be?
Oh, like your brokerage, your contact, all of that jazz. It doesn't have to be massive either. There aren't really rules about what size things have to be. They just have to be there. That could always change, but at the moment, you just have to have it on there that they can be legible and easily accessible. Yes.
Social media is like,
You and lots of people, yes.
so, social media be quiet. I just submit my, page to you. Make sure it is,
Oh, to look at?
yes,
Absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, and honestly, one of the things, like when we get new agents that come over, is I do that with them. It's a whole new universe of stuff to look at. But I'm happy to look at anything. If you've got a billboard going on that you want me to look at, you want me to look at Facebook, Instagram.
Facebook. Business page, I mean, Facebook made it. Sure.
Yeah, no, and I'm happy to look at whatever. Yeah, well, that's a really good question. Again, that stuff can always change, but Instagram's actually easier because the bio is on your feed. Like you don't have to click one more time to see it. TikTok is the same. The bio is on like feed. But yes,
Just so I understand
Yeah.
that. On my personal, I don't know, business page, and then personal page.
Mhm.
On my personal page, if I post a picture of one of our listings, I don't necessarily have to have. Remax myself, but my name. Remax.
Yeah, you don't have to have the balloon on anything but signs. But if you post it on your personal page and your personal page has no information about your, like the compliance pieces we talked about, it is good. Yeah, put it in the captions, your name, your brokerage, that kind of stuff. Or the easier thing to do is to post it on your business page and then share it on your personal page, because then you don't have to do all that business. Yeah.
What about posting on your business page and tagging personal?
And you,
Like I'm just tagged, so it'll show up in both places.
I don't know that you can. You have to have your settings set up that way to do that, but it would compliance wise be fine. Oh, yeah. It goes both ways. I haven't heard of anybody
Should be
doing
one
that.
click. Yeah, and the only thing about that with your Facebook business page and putting it in your banner instead of in your about is because if it's in your about and you're coming from a personal page, you're clicking once to get to the business page and then you have to click again to go into the about. So have it right at the top.
And the thing too that's kind of confusing is with Facebook, it depends on what device you're looking at. Because on like a desktop, when you go to a page, you can see the about on the main. If you're looking at it on a phone, you can't. So that kind of gets dicey, but the banner is just the easiest option because it is always there. Yes.
Allegedly,
Allegedly.
I read post on Facebook, interactive with page, LinkedIn,
Uh-huh.
and Instagram.
Yep.
Vice versa.
Yep.
So if I put something on Instagram and it's supposed to automatically post.
Uh-huh. That's fine, as long as you're like each of those individual accounts, you've gone in and added in your bio about section, cover photo, wherever you're putting it, that same information, you're fine. Yep. Good question though.
And the state requires your name, your brokerage, city and state of your office, license to sell real estate in Iowa. So those are the state of Iowa versus the RE/MAX.
It's not necessarily that my daughter, I just posted it myself. I don't have to have just mine.
Yours and the team name.
Oh.
So when it comes to team stuff, that's an extra layer because you do need to also disclose your team, which circling back to if you're doing it on a cover photo, like in a visual, you put your team logo that should theoretically have the Concepts logo incorporated in it. So that's checking that off right there. If you were doing it on a personal page, and you would have to type that out then on the caption, but yeah. How we feeling?
Non-compliant.
Again, I don't want to end this as me being like, stop doing, like, I don't want it to feel like I'm slapping you, because that's not fun. But I think if anything, it's important to remember that you're part of the company that has a massive brand with same recognition. So that alone is going to help your business. So it's only cool, like fair that we play within their boundaries because their brand recognition ultimately does help you. And like I said, there's still plenty of room to have your own identity, to have your own brand under the RE/MAX umbrella. It's just important to keep these things. Okay.
Do you want to share a little bit about logos if you're looking to create a logo, some things that you should and shouldn't do?
Well, really, there's no, really shouldn't, really shouldn't is anything that could be confused as a RE/MAX logo, because like I said, those are trademarked. But there are no rules as far as color, as far as font, any of that business. Within the name, obviously, we talked about what name things do or do not fly, but what I would recommend is that you include the brokerage logo with your logo. So if you came to me and you're like, hey, I'm getting a team started, I want a logo, help me out. I will, without even asking you, put the Concepts logo with it, whether it's typed out or the actual logo mark, because that way, like how Dawn was asking, do I have to disclose the team as well? When you disclose your brokerage, you're disclosing the team. It's like 2 birds, 1 stone kind of a situation. So that's my recommendation. There are no rules about what size it has to be besides, what was the word you used? Discernible? Or
Whatever that word
a
is.
good word for a Tuesday, whatever word that was. You have to be able to read it, and it can't be so tiny that nobody is ever gonna see it. But as long as it's within there in some way, it'll make your life down the road easier, I promise.
So our logo that we had a long time ago, it just has Baham Real Estate. I know it doesn't have teams, I know that's not just clients, but in our signs, if we do use it to take out Baham Real Estate team, but use that circle, is that intense or no?
Technically, no. It's like they're two different categories. Because like you have your emblem logo, and you have your typography situation. If you type it out, that's cool, that's great. But the actual logo is independent of that. So even though the person seeing it will get the information they need to get, when you think of them separately, one is, one isn't.
So recommending on our signs, since we've not got that fixed yet, just to do it without the circle, either without the logo and just put Baham Real
Could we
Estate.
do team and not still have the logo? Because we still have team in all of our marketing. We'll put our most of the team.
But
But
it's Baham.
we still have our real estate, we still have our logo on there along with our Remax concepts.
Technically, with your logo independent of anything else, it would need to have a team on the end of it. I don't disagree.
I reached out to the person that did ours.
Yeah.
She never responded, and so it's like to start over. It's not so.
Well,
she loved it.
And
it just-
it looks like that's the thing too. People that are just graphic designers, they don't know this stuff because they don't eat Remax like I do, right? So that's why it's not a trademark infringement. It's that because but most people don't know and understand this stuff to the level that.
So you're suggesting that we're just not using that? It's a real question because it's known. We spent thousands of dollars.
Oh, that's.
I would say, close your brokerage. As you're already doing. In the future, I would consider adding team. But I wouldn't go start a giant bonfire of everything you own currently. However, if Remax were to come to you and tell you that, you would have to change it. So that is that's what I'm saying. I got the sign police. I'm not gonna go around and call everybody that I'm doing. Like, that's not what we're about. We're about giving you the information and you do with it what you will. All right.
Well, I'm generally the one that likes to ride that line, so.
And I just want to
And why?
Until the wheels fall off.
And keep in mind that the real estate commission hasn't written the rules either
Yes.
about,
Right.
defining teams and defining the size of the brokerage. So in the state of Illinois, you have to have your brokerage name the same size or larger than your individual or team name, which is wild if you think about
And
it.
every other state around us is
Yeah.
the same. Iowa is over here being weird, but I mean.
Well, we just haven't written them yet. Our
Right.
real estate commission's just so far behind doing
Yeah, I
that.
don't mind that. I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter if you have to go. I mean, it matters to have them on there, but I'm saying like, if you're smaller than a brokerage, why does it even matter? As long as you're able to put your information on there.
See, that's the logic that one would think one would have, but
Like,
it's
I mean,
not
because
always.
if you think about it, if you're just thinking about a pyramid in general.
Yeah.
And if your work for a company, they come first, then your brokerage firm, then your team. Then
See,
your
you're thinking
individual.
logically, you can't do that.
I mean, you can, we want to encourage
No,
that.
you can't. It's like trying to reason away somebody else's mouth, but you are 100% correct in that feeling, 100%.
All right, well, I'll rack in mind.
I will let y'all battle that out, but yeah, if you're ever like, you know what, we can do signs, I would just consider it.
Well, signs we're definitely gonna do, I mean, because I know we're out of compliant with that.
Well, and if
Can we just go
you,
without? Can we just go with just the Baham Real Estate? So we don't.
Well, we do have a real estate team on all of our stuff. I'm just saying
Yeah.
in regards to our.
But we still
logo,
have our logo
Yeah.
on it with it. It's not.
it's not compliant, because you're saying it's, even this is Baham Real team, the logo itself is not 16.
technically,
It's like instead of the actual team.
technically, yes.
So we can add
Yeah.
signs.
I think that.
I'm not, I'm gonna say, look, you're,
Right,
you're,
right.
yeah, I got a good argument, so I'll wait. for
Do
that.
it, and Boba, if you're like, actually start that, we can do little decals to put over top and no one will have them. So,
One other thing with teams is if you have not done it, you need to have your team name as a trademark,
Yeah.
underneath the brokerage. So if you haven't done that already, check in with Becca. It has to be registered that way in order to advertise in the state of Iowa.
Legally.
Yeah, that's a legal law.
Yeah, that's not a Remax thing, that is a,
State of
doesn't
Iowa
help you
Real
if
Estate
you don't
Commission.
thing. So. Well, if you ever need anything, you know how to find me. One of my favorite things to talk about and make fun of sometimes.
Any other questions?
Cool. Thanks, guys. Make sure you sign in so you get credits.
Yes.